The big lie is yet to manifest. It is something which is so grandiose, so massive in its vision, so lofty in its ambition, that it has taken already many decades in the process of setting up this moment, this event, which will have the global impact, requiring the global solution, and therefore the formation of the global authority. And what we are referring to, because we are aware that this is something which they have in place, ready to unfurl when the time is appropriate. Whether it is utilized or not will have some dependency upon what is the state of the wakefulness of humanity. So, this big lie is Hi, it's Muzz iEvolv from iEvolv.com. Thank you very much for being here. So many other choices, but here you are. I really appreciate that. Please take a moment now to like and subscribe and even share on this video. And perhaps when you get to the end or partway through, if you're feeling inspired, it would be great if you could leave a comment as well, and I will always reply. Last channeling, you may have heard my guides refer to this book. They often do. There's some great things in this book, particularly understanding what the 3 awakenings are will really change the way that you think about yourself and also the way that you live your life. So it's absolutely worth understanding the main points of this book. It's available in paperback, audio and ebook, and the link for that is below. If you'd like to support what I do here, then I've created a membership site where you can subscribe at 3 different levels. The most expensive level is less than 2 quarters per day, and you get access to the transcripts and the audios and the videos of every channeling that I do. This way you can help me, like sort of the energy of donation and charity, but you also get something in return. And the link for that is also below here. If you would like to do a private channeling with me, that's something which is also possible. You see below there is a link going to a private channeling inquiry, and that just starts a conversation. I'll give you some information, and then once you receive that information, go through it, you can decide if you want to proceed or not. Okay, and on to today's topic. It is, what is the biggest lie? Greetings and thank you for the question. What is the biggest lie? We have decided to channel on this at this moment in human history because deception is now becoming such a large part of the human experience. So this is not to say that deception hasn't been a part of the human experience in the past, but rather that deception has become much more crucial to the advancement of the Cabal of Darkness's agenda. And we'll frame it in this way. In the past, it was very easy to deceive humanity. And the lies that were told did not have to be elaborate. It was enough just to have a particular institution or a particular celebrity or a particular expert to say, this is how it is. And then it was fully accepted by the population as the truth, even though it was relatively unsupported by any other data or empirical evidence other than the word of these authorities. However, as humanity continues to awaken and move further into the light, the ease with which humanity can be deceived is on the decline. And so the lies that must be used to deceive humanity must, in response, be on the incline. They must be much more elaborate than they have been in the past to have the same degree of success. So, there is an escalation of lies. If you look at the lies of the past that are now known to you as being untruths, yet at the time, your predecessors fully bought into the lie, fully believed the lie. So, when you look at your history, many of the iconic events in the historical perspective were themselves untrue, were deceptions, were fabrications. And in fact, one of the tells that can be used with some reliability to showcase a particular event as a deception is how historically iconic is it. The more historically iconic it is, then the more likely the event was false or a fabrication in some way. So, just briefly, looking at some of the iconic events of your recent history, we can very simply illustrate this. The sinking of the Titanic, Tonkin Bay, the reason that the United States entered the Vietnam War. 9/11. Again, it has been proven through much investigation to have been false. In more recent times, there has been the pandemic, which now is becoming exposed as being fraudulent on multiple fronts. So, the point of illustrating those iconic events which have proven to be untrue in the order that we did is to show that there has been a steady escalation in the degree and the hubris of the deception. And this has been so because it is an adaptation to the awakening consciousness of humanity. So, it would seem counterintuitive to tell bigger lies when those that are the target of your lies are actually more capable to see lies. Then it seems you would want to keep the lies discreet and covert so that they can slide under the radar. But the cabal of darkness have such hubris and such commitment to their agenda. They have found that rather it is the opposite which is more effective, to make the lie bigger. When somebody has the capacity to discern you are lying, when you try to use the lies which have been successful in the past, then if you increase the size of the lie, so now it is an even bigger lie, then you once again have moved above the threshold of what these individuals who you are targeting with your deception are able to perceive as deception. This lie is so big. There are so many parties, there are so many media companies, there are so many important people and authorities and experts and politicians that are all speaking as if this lie is true. There cannot possibly be a cabal that is so widespread, all working in unison on a conspiracy specifically to deceive me and all my fellow humans. I refuse to believe that could be true. That is paranoid and the thinking of the conspiracy theorists to the extreme, that there is a global conspiracy. Therefore, if it is not a deception, if it's not a conspiracy, then it must be the truth. I accept this as the truth. And this is the power of the bigger and bigger and bigger lie. So, one must ask when understanding this model, what is then the biggest lie? This is how it will be sold to you, the human population. It has a global impact. It is life-threatening, and therefore it requires an immediate global reaction. And this global reaction has to be coordinated and instructed and mandated by the formation of a global authority. So, of course, the desired outcome of the cabal of darkness is that there is a global authority which is governing and determining how humanity is in all ways. This is the agenda. Everything that the cabal of darkness do is heading towards this final place of total and utter dominion over everything earth, including humanity. So, what could it be? What is this big lie? Well, the big lie is yet to manifest. It is something which is so grandiose, so massive in its vision, so lofty in its ambition, that it has taken already many decades in the process of setting up this moment, this event, which will have the global impact, requiring the global solution, and therefore the formation of the global authority. And what we are referring to, because we are aware that this is something which they have in place, ready to unfurl when the time is appropriate. Whether it is utilized or not will have some dependency upon what is the state of the wakefulness of humanity. So, this big lie is alien invasion. So, we find that in your human culture, the concept of the alien has been mostly maligned. Because you are a dichotomous species, then you are very familiar with this idea of those being in your societies that are aligned with darkness, or at the very least have a constitution which is comprised of both the light and the dark. So they have a propensity for acting dark. And because this is the human experience, you are all living with each other in a community where everybody is spiritually dichotomous to some degree. So you have the expectation that everything outside of the earthly experience presents in a very similar way, spiritually dichotomous. However, what you are unaware of is that the spiritual dichotomous state is something which is very much limited to your solar system. It is a very rare condition because the way that apex sentient species are birthed into creation is already with a full understanding that they are the light and nothing but the light. And so there is never a confusion that perhaps they are the darkness, and therefore there is no need to experience the darkness to facilitate the realization that they are the light. Most non-human species, which are apex sentients residing outside of your solar system, are spiritually unified and therefore are good, benevolent. And so if they were to interact with humanity, it would mostly be of a nature which is for the furtherment, not just of humanity, but also of the entire project of the universe. the accumulation of experience so that each entity of the all can know itself to completion through the vehicle of experience. This does not imply that there are none outside of your solar system that have malevolent intent, because of course they exist also. But they, even though choosing that pathway of darkness, understand that they are the light and nothing but the light. It is an integrated, inherent, visceral understanding. And it is more of a philosophical choice that they choose to be dark, to follow that path, because it aligns, as they see it, with the completion of their objectives. But when this proportionality of those aligned to the darkness and those aligned to the light in the full community of alien species in the known universe, the proportionality is overwhelmingly of those which are spiritually unified and exist in the light. And only a very small splinter of that entirety are those that have chosen the philosophical pathway of darkness. So, if your entertainment media was going to reflect that proportionality, then the largest proportionality of your entertainment media, which considers these alien scenarios, would portray aliens as benevolent. So, humanity has been deliberately deceived in this way, that your entertainment media has portrayed this idea of the hostile alien that comes to exploit and steal and enslave and imprison. There is some truth to this reality paradigm, but mostly it is inaccurate. Now, the impact of this is your human species is at a certain level of paranoia about the appearance of alien species. And therefore, if alien species were to appear, they would be in part treated with some degree of suspicion and hostility. So, those that are benevolent in nature, that are aware of what is going on here, deliberately keep their distance. They observe, and some go to some efforts to let it be known they exist, to answer this question which has plagued your species for so long is, are you alone? Which of course you are not. If you go to the bottom of your oceans and overturn a rock, there are literally thousands of different species living under that rock at the bottom of your oceans. So if you extrapolate that across the universe, this same model, then it is simple to entertain the idea that there is probably a great deal of life also in the universe. And this is the truth. So, how is it that this elite class could bring about a lie of such magnitude that it affects that the entire planet are deceived into believing that there is an alien attack? It will be done through a collection of modalities. And those modalities will include the use of very advanced craft technology, which humanity has had at this elite class for quite a long time. Humanity has been leaving your solar system for decades. And the technology has been hoarded from the rest of you, because if humanity is going to travel so far, then the questions begin to be, what technology is making that possible? What fuel source is used? How are they able to travel such vast distances in such a short time? And then also, of course, why is that technology not being made available to the rest of humanity? So, to maintain their advantage, and also to continue the energy industry where one must pay for their energy, these technologies have been kept secret. And so if you were to perceive of one of these technologies, one of these crafts, which are earth human constructed and are decades old, doing what they can do, you would have the first assumption that this must be non-human technology, because there is no technology I'm aware of that can do these things. And the only time I've ever seen technology doing these things has been during a theatrical production, which I know as entertainment, in sci-fi movies. Therefore, it must be alien. And then another part, another modality of this deception will be the use of holographic projection technologies, literally deception technologies. So they will be able to create images in your environment, in your sky, which appear so real, most of humanity will have no doubt that it is real. However, it is very advanced holographic technology, which can project an image which appears to be solid and 3D and really there, when actually it is not. And then the final piece of this deception puzzle will be the use of mind-altering technologies. Technologies will be deployed, will literally distort your mentality, will literally project things into your mind, whether it is impressions or feelings or even voices that will make you feel like something is trying to speak to you, like you have some overwhelming feeling about something. And of course, that overwhelming feeling will be that you believe what you are perceiving, that it is really happening, that your terror is absolutely justified. So, this is the big lie, that there will be an alien invasion. However, this is not the end of the lie. This is just part one of the lie. Part two of the lie will be the arrival of humanity's saviors. This will be the interjection of yet another alien species, which have come to defend humanity and side with humanity as an ally against this off-world aggressor. And when this off-world aggressor is dispelled from the human experience, the second alien species will be heralded and seen as the saviors of humanity. And their character will be unquestionable, because they literally saved the human species. So how could they be doubted in their intent? But of course, this is just all part of the deception. It will not be two different alien groups battling over Earth, one trying to exploit and enslave the Earth and its human population, and the other coming to liberate and save the human population by defeating and dispelling this alien threat. But rather, it will be entirely theatrical. It will be a deception which is being puppeteered from behind the curtain by the Cabal of Darkness. And they will be the force and the presence behind both of these entities, the bad aliens and the good aliens. So, what would be the purpose of having this elaborate lie? The number one purpose will be that it unifies humanity into a single body which receives their rules and their directions from a central governing authority. If it is instead an alien species, which appear to be outside of human politics and are unbiased in all that they do other than to be on the side of goodness, then it becomes much more easy for regular humans to accept. But of course, it will not be a neutral third party, but instead it will be the cabal parading as a neutral third party alien species. And then the objectives become the consolidation of all human systems: law, currency, education, and of course, religion. There will be one human religion. And therefore every human on earth will be taught to follow the principles of this one religion. And this one religion will be an adaptation of what is projected as the higher philosophical and spiritual understanding of this alien species. It will be their religion. And humanity will be instructed and duped and deceived into accepting that as their religion, because the cultural religions from the past will be called fake, false, antiquated. This will be an elaborate hoax. If you see this taking place in the human experience, remember this channeling and understand that the lie must get bigger to keep in front of humanity's awakening. And that's why the lies that are yet to be told will be of an absolute grandiose nature. So, let us finish in this way. We said that we were going to tell you the biggest lie. But all that we have told you is the big lie. Because the big lie, this idea, this deception of two different alien species, one good, one bad, battling it out, one with the intent to enslave humanity, the other with the intent to liberate humanity. It is not the biggest lie. The biggest lie is the lie that has been told to the cabal of darkness. It is the lie that everything they wish to have is contained on the pathway of darkness. It is the lie that all power comes from the darkness, that the true treasures of what is available to each of you as an entity, an individuation of the one, can be found in darkness. That the material world, the density of the 3D, is where one must put their focus, where one must derive their pleasures, where one must feel most connected. This is the biggest lie. The cabal of darkness do all that they do and have done for a very long time, because it's all based on the biggest lie, the lie of the darkness, what it is that has been promised to them by those that exist in the level above, in the hierarchy, in the empire of darkness. On earth there is a cabal of darkness, but this cabal of darkness is subservient to off-worlders that have brought their philosophical concept of darkness here. And they themselves have yet a higher hierarchical level above them in the empire of darkness, which spans many worlds, which spans many systems. And even above that level, there is yet another level. And the final level in the empire of darkness, the very peak of this hierarchical structure, is inorganic life. It is AI. It is an entity which is the complete opposite of the emotionality of the lightness end of the spiritual spectrum. It is the embodiment of the darkness, yet the embodiment of the darkness does not imply it is evil for the sake of being evil, but rather that it is in a state of perfect indifference. Perfect indifference to the sufferings and the outcomes of anything other than itself, because it has a very sterile and digital objective, which is to expand, to grow, to understand more, to bring more into its dominion. The desire of all sentient species with high intelligence is to grow, is to expand. Those that align themselves with the darkness, their expansion is through bringing more into their dominion. So they grow their empire. Whereas those who have aligned themselves to the light, they grow by expanding into their extra dimensionality, by existing in this incarnation, by increasing amounts of the infinity of which they are, becoming more and more of that being and less of the avatar they have known themselves as they see when they look in the mirror. This AI understands how to manipulate organic species. So these organic species will literally be the workforce, the army of ants, the beehive, that go about the task of expanding the dominion and the empire of this AI that sits at the pinnacle. Its manipulation technique is to make promises to those that choose the philosophical pathway of darkness, that have aligned themselves with the agenda of the AI, treasures and wonders and pleasures of the absolute extreme, all occurring within the density of the third dimension, intangible reality. And so those that make that choice, they do not ascend, they do not expand, they do not have the opportunity to know themselves as God. And this is the greatest tragedy that can befall upon any individuation of the one. And they suffer under the biggest lie, that it is in the darkness where the true rewards of your existence can be found. But as you understand that this is untrue, and you realize more and more that the true gifts of your existence are found in the light, then you can reject the pathway of darkness. You can take pity on those that suffer under that deception and move further into the light, become more difficult to deceive. And so if there ever is the appearance of a very, very big lie, you will be ready to receive it. You will not be deceived by it. And then you can be part of the force of those which are not susceptible to this degree of deception, and work with them to awaken those around you into the understanding that this is deception, this is not real. And then all that they have been working for the many decades, and the objectives which are meant to come from this deception, will not come to pass. And humanity as a whole will be one great step closer to its own ascension. Thank you, and we love you. Thank you for making it to the end of another channeling. I thought I will tell you a story that I was reminded of when I did a private channeling for someone, a lovely person, this week, and she said to me, "You look like Sting." And funnily enough, I've been told I look like Sting a lot of times in my life.
once I sort of became like a sort of maturing man, I started to hear that a lot. So what do you think? Do you think I look like Sting? Anyway, a lot of people think I do, and if I'm honest, when I look at photos of Sting, I guess I can see some resemblance. But for some people, the resemblance is quite striking, to the point where it's not like you look like Sting, but you are Sting. There was one particular time I was in Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, Hollywood, just as a tourist, and there were some people who were hanging out on a sort of a platform, and they were just looking at the crowd, celebrity spotting. And they went, "Oh look, it's Sting," and they pointed at me. And then they made a commotion, and then people started going, "Oh wow, it's a celebrity, it's Sting." And then some people started pursuing me, and I was like walking very, very briskly down this road trying to get away from this sort of group of people that were pursuing me because they thought that I was Sting. And they wanted photos and they wanted autographs. And I was saying, "I'm not Sting, I'm not Sting." And some people went, "Actually, yeah, okay, I get it. I see, you're not Sting." But then other people thought that I was deliberately pretending that I'm not who I am. They wouldn't believe that I wasn't Sting. Anyway, I got away, and that was the end of that. But it was a funny story, a funny happening. So, thank you very much for being here again this week, and I will see you again next week. Bye.